Who has been the biggest disappointment for the Timberwolves this season? Individual, whether it's an individual player or some sort of collective idea. What's been the biggest disappointment?
The biggest disappointment is how long it's taken. Well, I actually want to jump on a couple of people's throats, but the fact it's taken so long for them to figure out how to blend in the two new guys, DiVincenzo and Julius Randle. I am torn between Mike Conley and Rudy Gobert for the most disappointing Wolves player. Conley somehow is shooting better from 3-point range than he is with 2-point from overall. And I'm like, that doesn't happen very often. He got off to such a terrible shooting start. And I don't think that helped the Wolves start to the season. But I am going to focus on Rudy Gobert because Defensive Player of the Year, just because of his status on the team, what he means to the team defensively. His scoring is down. His rebounds are down. And we're finding out now in recent games that Julius Randle plays better when Gobert's off the floor.
Yeah.
And he's playing with Na, and he's playing with
Naz
Reid than he is with Rudy. Now, I don't want to put all that on Rudy, but I do think from a performance standpoint, he's been the most disappointing Timberwolf up to this point of the season. I sound like Trent Tucker now, but I just need to see more rim protection, a little more scoring, but the rebounding is baffling to me. I don't know what that's a product of. And if I'm not mistaken, too, are we seeing Rudy spending more time on the bench in the fourth quarter? I think
we have at certain points.
You just look at the rotations of who's on the floor at what time, and that tells you who. That gives you an indication of who's not performed or is underperforming, and that's the Frenchman, Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, I don't disagree with either one of those, although I had 3 different names on my list. I have Jaden McDaniels as a candidate because this is year 5, and he still hasn't taken any sort of meaningful step forward with his game. He's basically the same. To me, he's the same guy he was in the second year of his career now that he's in his 5th year. I don't trust him to make a shot. I trust him on defense, but you can get him off his game. His development, especially for what he makes, has been disappointing. Chris Finch has been disappointing to me this season just in terms of unlocking their offensive potential. They haven't been a great offensive team for 3 years, and some of that's Gobert, but you know what? You know what Utah's offensive rating was the year before they traded Rudy Gobert? It was number 1 in the NBA. You can have an elite NBA offense with Rudy Gobert on your team. You got to figure that out. He has not figured that out. He's not figured out his rotations. He's playing too many guys, too many minutes, not developing any of the young guys at all for the last 2 or 3 years. I'm down on Finchy right now. I think he's a good coach, but I'm down on his contributions this year. And my last one is Anthony Edwards. I don't like Ant's game this year. I don't like his leadership. They traded away Karl Anthony Towns because they thought they had their franchise guy. He is not played or acted like a franchise guy this year. He made a bunch of shots early in the season. We're happy for him. He's not going to the rim. He's complaining that there's no driving lanes. Find a driving lane. Find a way. You are the guy. It is on you to get it done, and you're not getting it done right now.
We just named 5 people for the Wolves.
Yeah, yeah, we did. We had 5 different people. Yeah. I mean, Conley, obviously, like, he's fallen off the face of the earth. They can't play him at the end of the game because he can't guard anybody. Like, that Mavericks game was probably painful. He gets switched off onto Kyrie. He can't stay in front of him. Like, you get to a certain age, sometimes you just fall off a cliff. It seems like that's happened. He did catch fire the other day against Oklahoma City. It was like he was playing terribly. I was like about to tweet that something about how he's unplayable, but my son had like taken my phone into the other room, and then he hit like 3 threes in a row, and I'm like, well, I'm glad I wasn't able to say what I wanted to say because it saved me the embarrassment of people being like, oh, really? The guy who just made 3 threes in a row? I'm like, yeah, okay. So that was good, but he's not been great. And I agree, Gobert certainly could be better. The fit is just, something's just off with the fit right now. It's just, something's just not right. The pieces aren't right. It's not been a good year for anybody associated with that franchise.
To borrow a phrase from Finchy, I still think the ball's a little sticky, especially when Ant wants to slay the dragon every time he comes down the court, setting up people off, waving off screens, and trying to, dominate his opponent. And sometimes he needs to move the ball, move it out the ball. And I think that would help keep everybody. involved and everybody productive. But your suggestions are pretty good. Jay McDaniels, they swung and missed that contract, signing him to a max contract. And I know he had upside at the time, and he was going to develop his offense and be a two-way player. And it hasn't happened. People were asking for him and requesting him in trades, and they wanted to hold on to him. And maybe they should have listened. Hindsight's 2020, but he has not become the player that the Wolves or we thought he was going to become.